Welcome, this is Halak, and in today's Java tutorial I will be continuing my discussion on arrays. In today's tutorial, um, arrays will be passed to methods. I haven't really discussed or talked about methods, but we've actually been exposed to methods when, for example, the main method here. However, in this tutorial we will be passing an array to a method and to demonstrate passing by reference versus passing by value. Okay. In later tutorials, I will cover more in-depth Java methods. So let's get started. Now, what you see on my screen here is I created just a simple int array, 1 to 5. For now, I'm not going to use this. This is just for setup. So in the next line, you see that I've created a string, and I call it immutable string. Right? The name sort of gives it away. I'm going to print the string out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass the string. Okay, I'm going to pass the string to this static method. Right? The reason it's called static method is because of this, the static keyword here, and it won't return anything. Okay. And in this change string method, we're going to assign hi, right? So the original string was hello, and now I'm going to assign hi to string, and I'm going, after calling or invoking the method, I will again print out the immutable string, right? Okay, so I'm just going to run this. It's a little slow. Okay, so you notice that it printed hello and hello, so the effects didn't change. Okay, so keep this in mind for now. There's no change, and now if I actually create another method, okay, so let's go down here. I'm going to create another method. Okay, so void change int. Okay, so remember the string, right? String. I'm going to put here string is an object. Okay, and in general, when we pass objects to a method and make changes, it will occur. But I'm just trying to show you here that strings are actually immutable, and you can't really change them. Okay. So now I'm going to change about just num. Okay. All right. So that's num. Now in change int, I'm just going to increment. Okay. So this is what I'm going to do is I'm going to do pretty much the same thing as above here. So I'm going to change this. All right. So I'm going to have SA my num. I'm going to name it differently so you can see, or just even num. I'm going to set it to 1. I'm going to print out num, pass in num. Okay, gotta change this. And again, print out num. All right. So earlier we seen that with string it was immutable. I'm gonna comment this out. All right. And now we're gonna try it with integers. And integers are primitive types. So I'm gonna run that. And you notice that again there's no change. Okay, so the takeaway from this discussion here is that there are immutable objects that cannot be changed, and primitive types such as int, double, char cannot be changed as well. Okay, so that's to keep in mind. Now let's try with arrays. All right. So change ARR. Okay. just specify the type, ARR. Okay, and that's how you specify the type of that a method will take a type of parameters, and here it's int, an array of type int. Okay, so now in here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to loop through. Okay, so I'm going to say ARR dot. I'm going to use that field again. That's in all array types. Okay, so that's a public field that's final. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually change the values. Okay. All right, so I'm going to change the values of arrays. Okay, so each element I'm going to actually do an increment. All right, and up here, of course, I'm going to have to do the same here. Get this. I actually only want that. Comment that out. Okay, so it won't be as simple up here because we're going to have to do a print. Oop, 0, not O. And array dot length. Okay, so this is the original array, and I'm just going to print it out. System.print. I guess I could do that. You know what? I can do this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to comma separate them. Or actually, you know what? Let's just do a tab. Right? And then up here, I should actually say original values in array. Okay, so that's what I have. I'm going to move this down. Okay, and to make it look nicer from the earlier one, I'm just going to put that and then modify values in array. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to call that. I'm going to invoke that function. All right, and pass it array. All right, and I guess we don't need this. Now I need to print this out. So move it down. Okay, so let's try that. All right, so you notice that it did change, right? So original values here, and then the modified values have been incremented by 1, right? So the takeaway here is that objects, right, particularly arrays, if you pass an array into a method and change it inside of a method, the change will take effect. So this is passing by reference. Okay, it's called passing by reference. All right, and now this is called passing by value. Okay, so in passing by value, if you make any changes inside of this method, so you pass in a primitive type or an immutable object, then what happens is that All right. So what happens is that inside the method you do any modification. And once the method exits, right? So it's done computing whatever's in here. Once it exits, the original values will not be changed. All right. So any values that's been modified in this in the method will not take effect once it exits. All right. So essentially, what happens here is that a copy is made of the original value, and then that changes are made to that copy. However, in passing by reference, a reference to the object is actually passed in, and when changes are made inside the method, the changes will take effect. Okay, so that's and again, this is for efficiency, right? We have such a small array here, so it doesn't really matter. But if you can imagine an array of size thousands and thousands of times bigger, and you had to perform some work inside of a method to make a complete copy of the array, two different arrays, right? So one in here and another one for this method, it would be extremely inefficient. So passing a reference and working on the original copy is much more efficient. Okay, so that is that is an example of passing an array, right? And passing by reference versus passing by value. Okay, so this is also, keep in mind, this is also passing by value. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say today. Let's clean this up, make it look a little nicer. Okay, so hope to see you in my next tutorial. Take care.